For centuries, the notion of giants walking the earth has captivated human imagination. Tales of colossal beings appear across various cultures, but it is in the Bible where we find the most intriguing accounts. The Nephilim, mentioned in the scriptures, are described as powerful beings, true heroes of antiquity. Who were these creatures? Did they truly exist, or were they merely legends? Even more unsettling is the lack of concrete evidence. If these giants were real, where are their remains? The question of the Nephilim's fate has sparked intense debates. Biblical accounts suggest their destruction during Noah's flood, as mentioned in Genesis 7:23. However, other passages hint that these beings may have continued to exist even after the Great Catastrophe. If this is true, their skeletal remains should be scattered across the world, buried beneath layers of earth and history. Could these archaeological traces have been ignored or even deliberately concealed? Archaeology has documented astonishing discoveries. Gigantic skeletons, monumental structures, and artifacts that defy traditional human scale raise doubts about what we truly know about the past. Many of these findings, however, are met with skepticism, dismissed as hoaxes, or distorted by conventional explanations. This brings us to a dilemma. To what extent are these pieces of evidence being suppressed? The stories of the Nephilim are not limited to the book of Genesis. Centuries after the flood, giants reappear when Moses sends spies to explore the land of Canaan. What they find fills them with fear, men of colossal proportions. In Numbers 13:33, the spies report, "We saw the Nephilim there. The descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Ooh. The sight of these gigantic beings not only reinforces the biblical narrative, but also raises an intriguing question. How could the Nephilim still exist after the flood? The giant inhabitants of Canaan were not just a myth to the Israelites. The scriptures mention several peoples of great stature, such as the Anakim, Amorites, and Rephaim. The Amorites, for instance, are described as a people whose height was comparable to cedars, and whose strength surpassed that of ordinary men. King Og of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephaim, possessed an iron bed approximately 4 meters long, evidence of his colossal size. These records challenge traditional historical understandings and drive us to seek physical evidence that could substantiate these claims. Archaeology has already revealed skeletons of unusual proportions, ancient inscriptions, and enormous structures that seem to corroborate these descriptions. In various parts of the world, there are reports of human remains of gigantic size, often dismissed or discredited by the scientific community. Could these discoveries be underestimated? After all, reports indicate that these giants could reach heights of between 3 and 5 meters, something considered impossible by modern human standards. If you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, back to the video. The evidence for the existence of giants extends beyond biblical accounts and ancient texts. In 1890, a shocking discovery took place in Castel, France. A human skeleton measuring an impressive 3 meters and 50 centimeters was unearthed. This discovery quickly captured the attention of scholars, as its abnormal dimensions hearkened to the description of Goliath, the giant slain by David. The possibility that this skeleton was connected to the Nephilim added yet another layer of intrigue to the find. After all, if Goliath truly existed and was part of a lineage of giants, how many others like him might have once walked the earth? The authenticity of this discovery was seriously examined by researchers at the University of Montpellier. A team of anatomists carefully examined the remains, concluding with a surprising finding. This skeleton was not the result of deformities or common gigantism, but belonged to a race of extraordinary stature. This scientific analysis bolstered the hypothesis that the giants mentioned in the scriptures might have been real beings rather than mere mythical figures. The inevitable question arose: how many other similar skeletons had been discovered and simply ignored? Yet many of these pieces of evidence never made it to the public. The case of the giant of Castell was no exception. Documents, reports, and even remains mysteriously disappeared over time, as if there was a systematic effort to suppress any proof that challenges the traditional view of human history. Similar reports of giant remains found in different parts of the world are often discredited or reclassified as anomalies. Why are these discoveries systematically forgotten? Could it be a fear of rewriting history? The connection between this skeleton and the biblical narrative of David and Goliath raises questions that extend beyond faith. Goliath is described as a Philistine warrior of imposing stature, possibly a direct descendant of the ancient giants. If a skeleton of similar proportions was found, could the Bible be recording a historical fact that archaeology has yet to fully accept? This find suggests that the presence of giants in ancient times may have been far more common than previously imagined. The search for evidence of giants gained momentum in the late 19th century when, in 1894, archaeologists made an astounding discovery in Montpellier, France. In a prehistoric cemetery, they unearthed human bones of abnormal proportions, including skulls with circumferences ranging from 28 to 32 inches. Upon analyzing these dimensions, it was estimated that these individuals stood between 3 and 4 meters tall. This discovery seemed to confirm ancient stories of giant races that, according to biblical accounts, existed both before and after the flood. But who were these beings, and why is there no official recognition of their existence? The answer may lie in even older accounts preserved in the legends of Native American tribes. The Cay giants, also known as Sidoka, are described as a tribe of enormous beings with fair skin and red hair. According to Native American lore, these creatures were exterminated by their ancestors after a long battle. What is most striking is that this narrative mirrors the biblical descriptions of the Rephaim and Anakim, giant tribes that inhabited Canaan and were gradually eliminated by the Israelites. The fact that such distant cultures share such similar stories is striking. Despite these discoveries and accounts, records of giant skeletons seem to vanish over time. Many bones found were sent to research institutions, only to disappear without explanation. There are reports of private collections containing skulls and remains of enormous size, but rarely are these pieces presented to the public. What could explain this pattern? Why, whenever a new piece of evidence emerges, is it discredited, classified as a misanalysis, or simply disappears without a trace? The concept of giants is not limited to the Judeo-Christian tradition. In the Quran, there are mentions of beings of extraordinary stature, such as King Og of Bashan, whose size was estimated at 4.7 meters. If such ancient records from different cultures speak of the same beings, how can we dismiss the possibility that they truly existed? The idea of giants as mythical figures falls apart when we look at the sheer volume of reports that cross time and civilizations. The suppression of these discoveries does not seem to be mere coincidence. There is a clear resistance to accepting that human history may have been different from what we were taught. If giants truly walked among us, it would rewrite much of what we know about ancient civilizations and their relationship with the natural world. As more evidence emerged, new discoveries strengthened the possibility that giants had indeed walked the earth. In 1911, a group of miners searching for guano in Lovelock Cave, Nevada, made an unexpected find: mummified remains of humans with extraordinary features. One of the bodies measured about 2 meters and had red hair, something uncommon for the region. The resemblance to Native American accounts of a tribe of giants exterminated centuries ago deepened the mystery. These records suggested that beings of great stature, possibly with unknown origins, inhabited the Americas long before the arrival of the colonizers. What could have been one of the most significant archaeological discoveries quickly became a story shrouded in inexplicable disappearances. During the excavations, many artifacts and human remains were removed from the cave, but few were preserved. The most shocking case was that of the best-preserved mummy, which ended up being destroyed by a local fraternal organization. The reason? According to reports, the skeleton was used in initiation rituals. The loss of this specimen made further studies impossible and fueled suspicions that certain information was being deliberately concealed. The size of the Lovelock giants was not an isolated case. There are records of skeletons found in various parts of the world, measuring between 9 and 12 feet tall. If such dimensions are real, why don't these discoveries receive more attention? Is it a matter of protecting the established historical narrative? Over the years, similar cases have been discredited or simply ignored, even when accompanied by reports from reliable witnesses and initial documentation. This pattern of concealment extends beyond the West. One of the most intriguing accounts comes from Saudi Arabia, where a giant skeleton was said to have been discovered by an oil company. The local government quickly sealed off the area, prohibiting any further investigation. Egypt, with its secrets buried under millennia of sand, also holds evidence of beings of extraordinary proportions. In Saqqara, one of the country's oldest necropolises, archaeologists found monumental sarcophagi, measuring about 13 feet in length. These giant coffins, expertly carved from solid stone, indicated that their occupants were of a size far beyond human. Reports claim that colossal bones were found inside these structures, but, just like other discoveries of giant skeletons, much of this evidence mysteriously disappeared without explanation. The sarcophagi remain, but what happened to the remains that were once inside them? Another, even more intriguing case emerged in 1988 when Swiss photographer Gregor Spohr made a discovery that defied any conventional explanation. During a visit to Egypt, he had access to an impressive artifact, a mummified finger measuring 38 centimeters in length. If it belonged to a human, it would suggest the person's height was estimated to be at least 3.6 meters. This find reinforced the possibility that, at some point in history, giant creatures truly existed. But how could such an extraordinary artifact have remained unknown for so long? What was even more surprising was that the discovery was not based on mere assumptions. Along with the mummified finger, Spohr was given an authenticity certificate and an X-ray dated from the 1960s, suggesting that the evidence had been analyzed by experts. Despite this documentation, the find never received the scientific attention it deserved. Could this be another case of evidence being suppressed, kept from the eyes of the public? The discovery of the giant finger in Egypt was not just an archaeological curiosity, but a potential key piece of evidence to prove the existence of the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible. With its impressive 38 centimeters, this fossilized fragment defies any conventional explanation. If it belonged to a human, it would suggest a height incompatible with any known record of modern biology. For many alternative researchers, this is undeniable proof that gigantic beings truly inhabited the earth, reinforcing the biblical and mythological descriptions of ancient giants. Determined to deepen his research, Gregor Spohr returned to Egypt in 2009 in an attempt to obtain more information about the mummified finger. However, all he found was absolute silence. The relic had simply disappeared, and no one seemed willing to speak about it. No museum or local scientific institution had records of the discovery, making it virtually impossible to conduct any further analysis. This pattern of disappearance and lack of information is not an isolated case, and raises suspicions about the true intent behind the concealment of such evidence. The suppression of findings that challenge the official historical narrative appears to persist over time. Whenever a new artifact, giant skeleton, or document suggesting the existence of these beings emerges, it is quickly discredited or simply disappears without a trace. Could this be a deliberate attempt to prevent the past from being revisited from a new perspective? To what extent has history been shaped to fit an accepted and convenient version? In the face of this mystery, new generations are beginning to question whether the truth about giants has been erased or distorted over the centuries. The Nephilim, once thought to be mere figures from ancient scriptures, are starting to become a real archaeological possibility. Archaeological discoveries, as fragmented as they may be, suggest that there is much more hidden beneath layers of time and silence. Although the lack of concrete evidence makes this debate inconclusive, what has been revealed so far is enough to spark a new search for the truth. The mystery of the giants remains open, and it is up to each person to continue exploring, questioning, and analyzing the remnants left behind by the past. What else could be hidden, waiting to be uncovered? If you enjoyed this content and want to continue exploring the hidden mysteries and stories of the Bible, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us bring you more videos like this and reach more people interested in the Bible. Turn on notifications so you don't miss out on upcoming content, and share this video with friends who might like it. See you next time.